There are lots of dictionaries on the market today, but one in particular towers above the rest, and that's the Oxford English Dictionary. The OED is regarded as the Bible of dictionaries. It's one of the world's most influential reference books and a long-time guardian of the Queen's English. So when the OED, for the first time in its history, appointed an American as one of its top editors, we took notice. That, we told ourselves, could be the last shot in the war of words between American English and British English. The British are waving the white flag. So who's the first American editor of the Oxford English Dictionary? As we first reported earlier this year, he's a 32-year-old lexicographer by the name of Jesse Scheidlauer.
How exciting is it to be an editor of the OED?
It's exciting. It's a life's dream. I mean, the OED is the greatest dictionary there is, and it's the most important, and being able to work on it and contribute to it is, it's really a great thing.
It's not that the choir sang and the church bells rang and the sun shined just because an American editor had joined the venerable Oxford English Dictionary, but nevertheless, attention must be paid. That's because Jesse Scheidlauer's presence in Oxford is momentous. It puts the royal stamp on something we've suspected for quite a while, that England's dominance over English is history.
Most people want to learn American English. In the past, everyone wanted to learn British English. That was considered the standard. That's not the case anymore.
And so in editorial meetings at the OED, there sits a lone American, Jesse Scheidlauer, who dreamed of being a physicist, but wound up studying language at Cambridge. His mission? Persuading British editors of the worthiness of American words.
Hanged Chad, pregnant Chad, dimpled Chad. Yeah, okay.
Jesse's already gotten Master of the Universe into the OED, as well as McMansion and Macchiato and Stalkerazzi.
I want to make sure that American expressions aren't given short shrift because whatever editor looking at them just hasn't heard of it or doesn't think it's important. I want to make sure that anything that's a part of our language makes it into the dictionary.
The Oxford English Dictionary. It comes in 20 volumes, weighs 149.5 pounds, and contains nearly 750,000 words and phrases. If you love language, the OED is your best friend. It's also in the process of being revised. A new edition will be coming out online in 10 to 15 years. There are no deadlines in the dictionary business. The new electronic OED will contain more than 1 million words and phrases, many of the more recent ones put there by Jesse Scheidlauer.
Does it become something of a crusade?
It's not something I'm fighting against anyone.
You don't encounter any resistance ever?
No, not really. I mean, we don't argue about words. We don't have editorial meetings where people say, I don't like that, let's not put that in. If you have the evidence for something, it will go in. And my job is finding that evidence.
What is evidence?
The evidence the OED is based on is just evidence of real usage.
But the minute something appears, say, in a Hollywood movie or in a mainstream television production or in a novel in America, I mean, is that already enough evidence for it to belong?
A single example would not be enough evidence. Sometimes, though, you have a word like babelicious, where that was...
Babelicious?
Babelicious, of a woman extremely attractive, which was pretty much, I mean, I think it was in use in the TV sketch of Wayne's World on Saturday Night Live.
That has not made it into the OED?
It has been drafted for the OED because it did become very common after the movie and was popularized by that movie.
I look at the OED as a kind of monument, an oracle, an authority.
Do you think that the authority of the OED is being diminished as we speak?
Yes.
I've just reviewed a book on Leonardo da Vinci.
Brian Sewell is an art critic for a London newspaper and a stickler when it comes to the English language. Put slang words in the OED? How dare they?
You're not suggesting, are you, that the Oxford English Dictionary should ignore slang?
I am suggesting that it should ignore slang, absolutely. Slang has no place in a proper dictionary.
Mosh pit, mosher, moshing. There's no noun mosh. There needs to be that.
But Jesse's already putting slang words into the OED, including a slangy expression familiar to just about all of us.
Yada 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 is one that's gotten some attention recently.
Seinfeld, right?
Yes, but not Seinfeld.
Not Seinfeld.
Seinfeld certainly may have popularized it, and people were talking about this episode after it appeared. But in fact, we have examples of yada 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 that go back to the 1940s.
Wow.
It's very similar to blah blah blah, which we have going back to the 19-teens, I think. It first shows up in a World War I source.
But you did not get blah, blah, blah into the OED.
No, it was already in when I came
But
here.
you did get yada, yada, yada into the OED.
Yes.
I don't mean to get morbid, but that's not a bad epitaph. The man who got yada, yada, yada into the OED. It's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yada 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 has that kind of meaningless sound about it that somebody one day, everybody one day is going to wake up and say, my God, why am I saying this gibberish? And then it'll drop, it'll be gone. Nobody will ever look it up. Yada yada yada. Sounds like a woman unable to control the clutch of her motor car.
But the English that Brian Sewell speaks is fast becoming obsolete, and Sewell knows it.
And people still talk about the Queen's English. Is there such a thing today as the Queen's English?
No, it's gone. Not even the royal family speaks it.
As a wild guess, in 50 or 100 years from now, do you think there'll be anyone left who speaks English the way you do?
No, it will have gone. Completely.
Let's just talk about some particular words. Everyone in New York now says that something they like is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with that?
You put it in.
I mean, awesome is there.
Sure, awesome is there, but you draft another sense.
What do you do with a word like yo?
Again, you put it in. With yo, you have examples of things that are like yo being used as an interjection that go back to the 13th century or 14th century. But clearly the current use is something a little bit different.
Mother has taken on new meanings, or is it not that new?
Which senses do you have in mind?
Whew, that's a mother.
Right.
It's a mother of a job, it's a mother of a book, and everyone knows what you mean.
Sure, but even that shortened form itself goes back to the 1940s, I think, perhaps earlier, as a shortening of this fuller form.
What about scuzz bucket?
I believe scuzz bucket will be going in. I think scuzz ball will also be going in. I'm not sure about other scuzz compounds.
It's like putting cinnamon in your coffee. I don't suppose anybody does it now. Sprinkle cinnamon in your coffee? No, you look blank. Exactly. It's gone. It came and it's gone, which is terrific. It's what fads and fashions do. And nobody can remember them.
And the fads and fashions in your mind should come and should go and should not be acknowledged by the Oxford English Dictionary.
No, they should be acknowledged by Dictionary of Slang and Common Usage. Nothing else.
But Sewell's ideas for the OED fall on the deaf ears of the dictionary's editor-in-chief, John Simpson, who refuses to discriminate against slang. From his throne in Oxford, Simpson commands an entire army of readers and contributors scattered throughout the English-speaking world. Word mavens like 88-year-old David Schulman. Every weekday, Schulman takes the R train from Brooklyn to Manhattan and makes his way to the New York Public Library, where he ferrets out new words or new meanings for old words. Among the words he's gotten into the OED are doozy, carefree, and scrubwoman. We brought Schulman to New York's Carnegie Delicatessen. Where else to talk about his work on the word pastrami, or to be more precise, the word pastromi. Schulman found pastromi lurking in Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, the 10th edition, and he thought, no way, there can't be such a word.
And I always called it pastrami. I never in my life heard anybody say pastromi.
So Schulman wrote to Webster's dictionary demanding proof of pastromi. They sent him a batch of advertising clippings.
I told them, those clippings don't count. They're contrived words, artificially made up by copywriters for advertising agencies to attract the readers. And you should make a correction. Drop that pastromi business.
Sandy, you have a minute? Having successfully disposed of the word pastromi, we then called over the owner of the Carnegie Deli and discovered something new about the word pastrami.
Behind the counter if when they're ordering it, the word pastrami and salami sound the same.
Okay.
So we got a new word which we want to put in the dictionary. It's called a pistol.
The pistol.
You'll hear our waiters call, if they want a pastrami sandwich, they say, ordering a pistol.
Ordering a pistol!
Did you know that the word pistol is a synonym for the word pastrami?
Yes, but it's not that common. But nonetheless, it is one that will almost certainly be going in.
So under your entry for pistol, down, I imagine near the bottom, you're going to enter that it's also used for pastrami.
Yes, the same way that we will, and have already for that matter, entered mayo for mayonnaise.
You're also going to inform people that they must never have a pistol with mayo.
I would very much like to do that, but I don't think my brief extends that far.
So a word created at the counter of the Carnegie Deli is about to be sanctified here in Oxford, England, the cathedral of the English language.
Ordering a pistol!
Pistol, a pastrami on rye. It's immortal now. America really is where the new words are, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yes. But America's always been like that. America's always been a place where things buzz and change.
I think you're using the word buzz in a very modern, colloquial, if not slangy fashion.
We're all entitled to sin occasionally.
Log on to CBS.com to get a closer look at some of the Americanisms in the OED.